order. Phyllis, could we have roll call, please?
Greg Koshaw.
Here.
Bill Carbach.
Here.
Ken Mine.
Here. You're all emailed a copy of our minutes from our August 1st meeting. Do you have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second to approve our minutes from August 1st. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you. First thing this evening is a public hearing, so I need a motion to suspend the Board of Works meeting so that we can...
I'll make a motion to suspend the Board of Works meeting.
And a second?
Second. Yeah.
A motion and a second to suspend the Board of Works meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Now, if I could have a motion to enter a public hearing.
I'll make a motion to enter a public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay, now we have opened the public hearing, and the public hearing is in reference to Ed Gage with a request for disannexation of some of his property. Adam and Ed, if you want to come up and sit up here and state your whole case.
I didn't know there was such a thing as disannexation. There is. And have you all received a copy of the petition? Okay. So, a little bit bigger map there. The yellow is the property that Mr. Gage would like to have disannexed. It's all part of the field. In fact, if you go out there, you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. And he would like to have his whole farm so that it's in one jurisdiction, so that everything would be in the county. And so that's the purpose. Nothing has ever been improved on that 5.5 acre parcel. It's just bare ground. We did send notices out to all the neighbors, and of course it was published. Ed's talked to a few of the neighbors, and of course they're all for keeping that agricultural since they're looking at their backyard into the field. So that's the reason we would like to have it disannexed from the city, because Ed has no intentions of ever developing this. This was done back in 1975, I believe it was, and nothing was ever done with it after that. So, like I said, just that parcel is in the city limits, and the rest of his farm is in the county.
Now, is that land been plotted into some kind of a street or whatever at some
There was a
time?
proposed subdivision that was going to go in there, yes. And that was part of the issue, I think, back at the time, that was that the way it was going to have to be done to the size of the street, and so it was never developed.
And when it was at one time in the county,
Correct.
and it was annexed in
In 75, it was...
voluntarily.
Yeah, I mean, Ed's recollection of this was that his parents had started the process, but then decided they weren't going to do it. Wasn't sure how it ultimately was annexed in, but the annexation regardless occurred, and in 75 it became part of the city.
Phyllis, all the research you did as for that annex, when you and Wendy went looking for that, it was all, can you correct me if I'm wrong?
Well,
it was
there
all
were minutes and...
voluntarily,
So,
yeah.
And Adam, there was actually a subdivision platted out, wasn't there?
Correct.
And that was...
I think it's attached to the petition as a copy of it,
Right.
of the platted, yeah.
There's never approved as it was plotted.
Okay. And that was, part of that was the size of the street, is that right?
The size of the
The
cul-de-sac.
cul-de-sac had to be bigger, and so it was going to affect those lots that were down there around the cul-de-sac because of that. And I think it was the fire marshal or whoever for emergency personnel to get around in that cul-de-sac.
That's the main reason, proximity to the airport as well.
Okay. That's all you have to state, correct? I mean, you have nothing else that...
Right, like I said, there were never, part of, I think, when you go to the statute was, were there any improvements, was there any money spent on it by the city, was there,
Okay.
is there anybody that's going to be harmed by it?
Well.
Keeping on it, so.
Should I get a copy from that?
Yeah, I was going to say, copy of the petition is the plat itself. and then the drawing, GIS. And Phyllis is very good about getting me minutes and copies of documents, which is very nice.
Is there anyone present that would like to speak in favor of this disannexation on Mr. Gage's behalf, other than Ed, yourself, and Adam? If not, is there anyone here opposed to the disannexation? Don?
Yeah, I got a comment.
Don Bergdahl? Go ahead. Don Bergdahl is our infrastructure manager for the city.
My main concern is all the stormwater we got coming off those fields right now.
Well, the first week on the job, I got called to that corner to figure out what was going on. We got all this water we were taking on, flooding the Homestead area, all down through into Bush Street. The river starts at the Gage property and comes down through there. We've got repairs to do to the storm sewer right now where the field meets our, we take all the storm water in our 24-inch pipe that runs over towards the hospital and across. Right now, there's 8 feet of it missing that has to be repaired. So it's, state the fact that we haven't done anything to help the property. We handle all the storm water coming out of there. You ask anybody that lives down there, it's like a river that comes through. So that's my only concern. We're still dealing with the water.
So you're saying all the water from the airport and the field, a lot of that water drains right to that area?
There's a high point right through there. It all comes into Gage and Bowman area right there. And then we take it into our storm sewer at that point. Deal with it. Just one.
Don, I have one question. Are you referring to the area behind this, which is my farm, or are you referring to the 5.5 acres?
It comes right, both areas drain into that area, but the area you're talking about comes right off the end of Gage and, it floods that whole street, that last street. It's like a river running down through there, if anybody, I wish I had photos. I was hoping it would rain before this hearing and I could show you the photos, but, yeah, that was the first call I got.
I remember that.
I was on the job 3 days. Yeah. So, we do deal with water coming off. That's my only concern.
That field is properly drained. It is tiled every 40 feet.
It is.
And it was originally designed when Gage's third edition was put in and the second edition was put in by Mr. Blackburn and I believe Mr. Fleming. I believe put the stormwater sewer in there. Jerry Setzer was involved. There was some documentation that the Setzer papers, this was addressed earlier previous year. As far as I know, there had been some correction previous to 1975. I don't have the paperwork in front of me regarding the Setzer papers, which that is what they were called.
Right.
Where Jerry was hired by the city to find out what the problems were. The problems were where the old railroad track and airport used to cross High Street. They had some breakdown there, they had some breakdown around Highland Park area.
I'm just stating that we are taking the water off that.
You're taking some.
But there's no improvements though on the farm itself?
Not on the farm itself,
Okay.
but where the like right now, where the connection coming off the
Sure,
field
I
from behind
understand.
Homestead area, there's 8 feet of pipe missing that we've got to fix in order to keep it from blowing into those houses, into the backyard. And it's on the schedule to be done here in the next week or so. So,
Will somebody be waiting till my crops come off before?
it's actually right on the edge of the field. There's no crops right in that area. It's kind of where the swale you've got coming down along the...
You mean what the city put up as far as the swale?
If the washout is in that area going into the edge of your field, I've got some photos of it I can show you.
I think I'm familiar with what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that's my concern. I just wanted the board to know that.
Thank you, Don. Do any of the other department heads have any reason to believe that the disannexation would impact anything to do with the city? Any department head? Okay. Well, I think what I would like to do this evening is not to make a decision, but to rather to take it under advisement and make a ruling at our next meeting. I don't think there's any dire need to make this tonight, is there, Ed? I mean, yeah, just to give us time to...
I'm not aware of anything,
Yeah.
but I don't know why there would be a delay, but maybe there is a reason.
Matt, did you have something? Okay. Just to give us some more time to ponder it and think about it. I mean, it most likely will happen, but I want to just have a chance to
The
look
thing I'd
into
like to
it.
respond to is, and I understand what Don's saying, I mean, clearly, but I don't think that has anything to do with anything other than just being farm ground. I don't think it has to do with it being in or out of the city, or
Right.
had it never
No,
been
I
annexed,
understand.
I think there'd still be all that water coming through. So. Okay.
So if that is, unless does the board have any comments that you'd like to, I mean, would you prefer to go ahead and take action this evening, or?
I'd rather table.
That'll be fine with me. To table it, that's fine.
Could I have a motion in that?
I
Motion to
guess
table.
I just would like to point something out
Go ahead.
to make Mr. Gage aware of it. As a city, we're trying to clean up some of these areas that are not in the city, but are surrounded by city property. And I think as a plan commission member, I'm on the plan commission also, I think that's what our goal is, to not chop up the city limits more than they are chopped up. And it certainly looks like what we're looking at here is another situation where instead of having some clean lines for city limits, we're all of a sudden redoing our lines, and that's my only comment. I feel strongly about that only because we've done this so many times before. We've taken on new development, annexed it, and the areas getting out to it have been not annexed.
You know, like you said at the beginning, Adam, didn't know there was such a thing.
You know, such thing as this.
Didn't know there was such a thing, and I don't think we've, you know, in my 13 and a half years with the city, I don't think we've done anything like this.
In fact, we've done the opposite, like I just tried to point
Yeah.
out. Instead of doing the thing that we should have been doing, we overlooked it and let it slide, so.
And I can add one thing, unlike Adam, until Adam brought it to my attention, I wasn't aware that you could disannex anything. So I did do some research. I actually contacted AIM, and I talked to Jody Woods, who's the general counsel down there as well. What she indicated was that there may be a distinction between a property that was originally annexed through involuntary means versus voluntary. And she raised the issue of latches, basically, that you know, after a certain period of time, a property owner would lose the right to disannex because it had been in existence for an extended period. If it's an involuntary annexation, she said that would potentially be different. Now, honestly, I haven't found any specific case law, and that's one of the things that I do want to look at. There's just not a whole lot of cases out there that deal with it.
I could not.
I
didn't see one.
What I found was some cases in other jurisdictions, but there's not a whole lot of guidance under Indiana law. So I would like the opportunity to at least look into this a little too.
But Ed, your whole reason for wanting to disannex is just the tax purposes, or what is it?
The original comment, which Adam made you folks aware of, my parents were not at that meeting in 1975 when the city annexed this into the city. And the reason stated on here, as far as I know, from my mother was not aware of anything in 1993 when my dad died, and she was not aware of things regarding the taxes paid or not paid, whether it be county or city, and there was discussion between myself and my mother, and it was thought that there are some things regarding the tax situation and a lot of different things that have transpired since then, and I would like to correct some things based upon what I know. If this is the proper way to do it, then that's the proper way to do it. But beyond that, I would like my farm all in one jurisdiction. As far as I knew, it was in the county up until recently on some other things, and I'd like to have everything corrected. And I don't have any other reasons at this point other than what happened.
So you say your father asked to be annexed, but when they did it, he didn't even attend the meeting?
There was comments regarding the cul-de-sac. There was issues as a result of that parcel, which is the 5.5 acres. That amount of discussion, considering what he understood and my mother understood, she's not here, she's not alive, neither one of them are. So all I have is the information that I have been able to do research on, Phyllis as well as Wendy, and what Adam's done, and what the research that I've done from the records. There was never any discussion to actually develop that ground.
Okay. I don't recall, did I have a motion to table this and take it under advisement? Or go ahead, Tim.
You need to close the meeting, and then you'll table any action on the petition.
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
A motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same?
Make a motion that we open back up the Board of Works meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to reopen the Board of Works meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Now, if I could have a motion to either allow, deny, or table and take this under advisement.
Make a motion that we table this till the next meeting and take this under advisement.
Okay?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, next up.
Adam?
You want this back, Adam?
Adam, do you want this back?
Okay, thank you.
Come on, Scotty. Susie's outfit, so, like, was this him and her, you know? Next thing up on the agenda is going to be the Adams County Sewer District, just to discuss the homes north of Decatur and putting them into the Adams County Sewer District. And unfortunately for some of those homes, and I see a few of you that are present here tonight, it will increase your monthly charges, some of you quite a bit. So we wanted to have Barry come this evening. Kevin's here from the City Water Department, the Utility Department, and just give you folks an option to exercise your right to defend yourself. I mean, I don't know for sure, you know, this really isn't so much a city thing as it is a county thing. You're in the county sewer district, unfortunately, so I mean that's kind of where you fall. So I guess you had it good for a few years when you were on a meter or when you were paying a flat rate once that was put in out there. But now we can't really put you on an island and continue to do that. Am I saying this right, Tim? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, any of you that would like to speak? Barry, do you want to say anything here?
Just here to try to answer if there's, the hard part is the jurisdiction, and all their water will be going through our pumps and through our meter that is built by
it's considerably hard to come up with fair and reasonable numbers for that.
Still have a breakdown on what they have to pay.
Okay.
I went over.
Larry, go ahead.
What are you gonna do with the line, Barry, out front of the house? You got any other houses tying into it?
Well, there's one home that's not hooked up yet to it that I know of. We have plans to get it out of the woods. The line that's running through the woods, right now, that's not what we want as far as that line going through the woods. There's no way to maintain it. If there's a leak down in there, I don't know how.
That would cost. You guys are gonna take it.
If we take this over, we will take over the line. And what our plans are is to run it down, the people next to you, where the line ends. Along Triple Zero, it stops like at the edge of your property, right?
No, it stopped at the,
Les?
Bill's lot.
Yeah. Les Markle? And what we could do... See Ron's story, please. Across the road, because we're planning on coming, there's some homes being across the road. And we could run it across, tap it off behind Harry's, and bring it out where it is on easement. See, your line is not on any, I don't know who owns the woods that's going through. Does Harry own the whole woods back there all the way to Mama?
No, Corp owns part of it, and then...
No, going to Mama's school.
Oh, I think Harry owns it.
Harry owns the whole woods down through there?
Yeah.
And there's no easement?
Yeah, I'm not real sure how that line runs,
It just goes right through the middle of that woods.
and under the creek.
Yeah. We don't, that's something that's gonna have to be addressed. There's no air release valve on it, and it's pumping now into the lift station, our new lift station. We have ways of running it around, just come down across in front of John Fillings. Actually, we're getting ready to run a line to the north from the intersection down to Christian Farm. We're running sewer down there, and Adam Seal Scott just bought some property, and we're going to the east that way. We do have an easement already written up going to the south to get to where Harry Myers' line stops. So all we have to do is go across the road, and then we can pump all of the 6 homes that are in I call Harry Myers' little addition there. And, well, Porky ain't hooked up, but yourself, Cope, and the yellow house that did not get hooked up. That one will probably be addressed at some time too. We may not do this right away, but if we have the easements to get that far. We don't even know, is there any easements on any of your properties?
No.
If nothing's written up legally?
No. It's just one.
So there's nothing legal about even us getting onto it.
Oh, wait a minute. I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, just about bet. That was just, I was a little bit involved at the time. I sold the grinders pumps
Yeah.
when I was a salesperson. So it just was done, I guess. We have an outlet, a means of getting it off of going through that woods. If you'd have a leak in that woods, I don't know what would happen with EPA or anything like that, or if you'd even know it was leaking. I don't think anyone ever walks it. Mark Banning, I think my son Brandon was working for Mark when they ran that through the woods. So it's not really, per se, totally proper.
Is that just a 2-inch line through there?
So Barry, if and when we do this, when would it go into effect and all, what? Well, we got a estimated gallons that's going through, and we're gonna have to deduct the date that meter's been running. We've been pumping their sewage to you for 20 days or whatever now.
you know, we have a calculation, and me and Kevin kind of, so it would be, if you folks decided to do this and everything, and we, you know, it could be done tomorrow, it could be the 1st of September, it could be whatever.
And Kevin, how will the billing be done? Will billing still go through the city, or will?
The city of Girls in the front do all the billing for the sewer district.
Okay.
So we actually send the bills out and collect them.
And we have been, and we will continue, so that nothing will look any different other than the fact it's going to cost them.
They'll get a sewer district bill. Yeah, they'll get a sewer district bill.
Okay. Comments from the board? I mean,
My only comment is, they fall into the sewer district, and to isolate them from the sewer district and do some type of a rearrangement so they're still part of the city, to me would be awful difficult for the city and the sewer district, because like Barry pointed out, all the sewage is going through the county's pump station. So, that's my feelings about it, so.
Tom?
To answer Bill's question, you hear all the time grandfathered in for people that are in something and that something changes, they don't change it. And I want to know how many people would be thrilled to death when they, all of a sudden a utility and utility bill doubles overnight. You couldn't get away with it with INM and NIPSCO and that stuff. You have to go through them.
I guess you have to kind of consider all the others that are out there in the sewer district and what theirs is doing. And like I said,
I understand, but they could have done the same thing that everybody out there did and installed it years ago and gotten the...
Well, they couldn't have then, Tom, because it wasn't in play then.
Well, I mean, how long has it been in play with Harry?
Yeah, but I'm saying that,
They could have hooked up with Harry and...
yeah.
But, I mean, you know, I understand it's a benefit. My big problem is you're going to take whoever, utility, and double them overnight. You know...
you work in the county government, what would you do?
Well, I know probably the answer's already done. So, if I raise some, you know, I get checked when someone gets tax bill when they lose their exemption. You know.
I got a little bit more at stake than that, because I got a little more cost involved.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more cost involved.
Sir, go ahead. What's your name?
Gary O'Connell.
Okay.
I have...
You're getting impacted more than anyone.
Yeah. My water bill right now is $44.41 a month.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to go to $93. That's more than double.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what. When I ain't paying for air conditioning in the hot months, in between spring and fall, that's more than my light bill on gas bill put together. And what would it be if I had to pay for water too? I got a well out there. How much would I be paying if I had to use city water? And I paid for that line out there. I was lucky because I just right around the corner from that pump station there from the Mount School. And they told me that they didn't want any more sewer or septic system there, and I was lucky that I was able to hook up to it. I paid over $5,000 some to hook into that. And that manhole cover that was there, I paid for that. They pulled that out, and now there's a pipe sticking up out of the ground there. And where that was at also, now is a big muddy mess out there. Are they going to put any grass on it? They had that big machine out there on my property while they was pulling that manhole cover out, and it's nothing but hard-packed clay right now. It used to, water would stand down there on the corner for almost a week after it rained because it couldn't run off. And I had a place proved out there so the water would run off the edge of the road where it come from the Mount School and from the Bickley area and run down there, and I had it so it would run down towards the creek. I had a line there, and they plugged that up about 5 times before it got it dug out again. I had a piece of pipe running there, because it didn't go all the way to the road, and they had it grooved up so that it would pretty well drain off the road when it rains. And so that's all messed up there right now, but I would have liked to have a little consideration about the fact that maybe could have gave us all us people a little bit of a break on it, being the fact that we'd already invested in the sewer system in the first place. I've been there since '96 paying for it. It started out $11 and something a month for sewer, and it creeped up, so now it's $44.41.
Barry, what's it costing the homeowners to hook up into this?
To hook up to the system?
Yeah.
Outside the...
All these guys' neighbors within a half mile or so, what's it
Anyone
costing?
that's on the force main is $2,000.
2,000.
That the tap fee will be. Right now, it's prorated a little bit, but as soon as everything gets up and running, we're trying to do some incentives that let people hook up sooner. But the tap fee that our financial people set, and now everything is set in stone, is $2,000 for a tap fee.
Let's see, Barry, another question is, you're going to take over the maintenance of this system then for these people?
The mains, I'm not sure that we have a pump station, we have pump stations, but these are not like our pump stations, so it's something I am familiar with. I said earlier, I sold some of them. I don't know where that goes yet.
Well, it sounds to me like there's a couple of issues we're trying to solve. Number one would be, they've already paid for the pipe to get it in the ground, and that's an expense that they've bared. We're going to raise their utility rate, which it's what it sounds like. And then is the county going to basically take over you're going to have to buy some easements to get the property from them to actually do the work on it, is that correct?
Well, we're going to need an easement to get into the main where we need to cap it off. Yes, there'll be some growing pains there to figure out everything there.
So
I got to take it back to the board myself.
Right, I guess that's my question. Yeah, I understand. But I guess there's going to be some, are they still going to be maintaining their own pipes in their yard? On their property? I guess that's my question, or is the county take care of that?
If there's an easement that we can get to it, I would say we may take over the piping. That's why we would want to, if we have to take it over, we would want to get that out from in the woods. Because you know what it costs if we run, or someone runs sewage into the woods. I mean,
Okay.
Who's in charge of that now, or who would be the one liable for that now?
You see my point, go ahead, Larry.
But I know what you're saying about the woods part, but the pipe running down in front of my house.
Yeah, yours is along the road.
Yeah.
That's an easy easement, so that'd be easy to work on. I don't know where I know where it goes through Porky's, because I've been there and I've seen where his path could be. I mean, you've got a pipe sticking up in the truck, but how it gets into the cul-de-sac,
No, I think this runs right in front of the woods.
all the way down the road till it gets to the
Right,
drive.
let's go pick those up.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, well, if it goes all along the road there,
Yeah, it's on the other side, it's not down in the woods.
I know that, but aren't they going to
get more money back to show
blow up behind,
Yeah.
behind
That's the county work out.
Like where that hay is.
That's true, that's true. I thought you were talking about the one money pump station
That's your compensation.
in the woods. That's the one
Because
you're
they're going to
talking
get paid for
Yeah,
the
well, that's
easement, so
the
that
one
they can
we're-
get in there and do it.
Okay.
Then we would
That's
cut
up to the
that
county.
off.
What
Ours,
they're supposed to do is get away from the situation.
I would reverse the flow. If we was gonna change it, I would cap it off right wherever, whoever the black one heading to the south. Cap it off and hook it up and make a pump the other direction. That would be what needs to be done as far as being able to monitor and know what you got. That would run over across the front of the dump into the manhole and then gravity over to it.
Now, everybody out in town, are you taking care of their drainage pits, the pump stations?
The new ones that people put in, no. The ones that were in with the project, yes. We're working on an idea of possibly taking over or doing it, but Aaron
Baker, he's happened to hook up with his new house, the new people across the road from John Filling, and they're buying their own grinder stations along with their construction costs. To be plain and simple, their construction cost is $6,000 per house plus they have to buy the grinder pump and give easements.
So for these 6 to switch over, is there over and above the rate going up, is there an expense they're going to incur?
No. Nothing different than what they got right now, and if something happens, if the board would decide to take over their grinder station, I'm not speaking for that. You know, they aren't what we have as far as we're keeping parts. You know, the people that are wanting to hook into our system are buying grinder stations from us, and I think there's some other options on another project. We'll have parts for those people to buy in those situations. I mean, that's probably going to get brought up later tonight, but I'm not saying we won't work on your pump station, but right now we're not going to work on them. I mean, it's pull pump and replace the pump. I mean,
But you're going to work on anybody else that you're forcing to hook up?
we're going to work on anybody that we put a grinder pump in.
And they'll be paying the same prices like
In the Monmouth, Arcadia Village, and Pleasant Mills. Anyone in between point A and B and C will buy their own grinder station and possibly, more than likely, right now it's set up where they'll have to maintain it and everything. They have to buy it, they have to supply electricity.
Those are the ones that won't volunteer to hook up, the ones that you already...
The ones that are in the burden,
Right.
that are in the project. that have-
Tom, I think what you're saying though is, do you want to put in a pump like they have? Then they'll take care of it, I suppose.
Well, that's what their pumps. I'm just saying, if we're paying the same, should they maintain a pump? I'm not-
I don't know how old your pump is, I don't know what kind your pump is, I don't know if it's better or worse than the type they're using. So for him to answer that, I don't know how he could answer that.
But, I mean,
No, you could answer mine.
I'm not saying in the long run that we're going to be
I
better.
think
We're not
they're
better
all
off.
the same. I think
I'm just
every
saying,
one of
why
them
are we
right now-
doubling it overnight? Why can't we make it easier?
Yes, sir.
You know, I read the water meter once a month on the 10th, and if this goes into effect, how will I know, how will it be balanced out so that I'm automatically pay a certain amount or what?
It's a flat rate.
Will they let you know so that I say, okay, do I read the water meter the 10th of next month or
No.
what? Or do I skip it or what?
You won't never have to read that meter again.
Yeah, well, when does it go into effect is what I want to know, because I read it the 10th of this month and put the card in the slot out here that same day. So I pay that bill and that's it. Then after that, I get a bill from utilities then from then on. I just want to know when it's cut off, when I don't have to read the water meter anymore.
Kevin, can you answer that?
Let you know.
Okay.
This all goes through, we'll let you know.
Let you know in the mail or something?
When one stops and one.
Okay.
That way they.
Yeah, because right now I just read the water meter and then put it out here.
Yeah, we did it 20 years ago.
You got a comment?
Give you some sort of.
Oh. Yeah. Tyler has a pretty good question there. If some of these homes, I think, what, 3 of you have meters? 3 or 4 of you have meters, correct?
2 on here.
And 2 aren't here, yeah. Are the meters worthy for the city to be able to reuse? I mean, can we buy them back? And
Well, mine is underneath the crawl space, and I have to open up the door and crawl under there summer and winter, and read the water meter once a month. And I'm 76 years old now.
Well, we wouldn't, if we did that, we wouldn't make you go in there and take it out. We'd
Well,
have our guys do that.
I'm concerned if something happens to me, and what my wife has to do, you
Yeah.
know.
And is that something, I mean, how long is a meter good for? Is that something that
Those are just, those are water meters.
Yeah.
they're,
So all we do
It's
is
not measuring sewage, it's measuring
Right.
well water.
what's coming out of wells that we fill.
okay, okay.
It,
To Barry's point, all the infiltration of stormwater and other things that's going into the sewer line, we are processing through the treatment plant, but they're not, nobody's getting billed for that.
There again, the water comes down off the house, goes right down and into the yard. And none of those, nothing else goes into the sewer system except the toilet and the sinks and stuff.
Barry?
That would be one thing. The only thing, there would not be a inspection charge for this since they're already installed, but there would be one inspection that we need to see where the sump pump's going. That's been our biggest drive, and if you don't have a sump pump, I mean,
I don't know how many people out there, a guy wandering around wondering where my grinder was. Like he was lost, and I told him, I said, I've been hooked up since 76, or 96, and I showed, I don't know how many people, where the water comes off the road and goes out in the yard.
I was one of those guys.
the answer is,
It
Kevin,
comes down
is
out
there,
from
there's
underneath
no
where
meters
the
any
sump
value?
pump, where it drains out.
I don't think we ever
gushes
did
out in the
that.
yard, and it eventually kind of creeps down and forces.
Can we reimburse them for the meters at the center?
So.
And I know that, but there's
They're not looking
6
at
or 7 more.
Because
If
You know,
anybody wants to come out and take a look at it,
Coming off
you
the
can.
well.
The
It's
school
all token.
has got to consider leak running in and with that, trying to get that stopped. Because that all comes down to
Let the property owners make suggestions.
Did we answer that question? Will we be reimbursed for
We're having a discussion, right? Are we supposed to be in an open hearing?
Should they attend a solid waste board meeting?
Well, I think that's their next move, yeah.
Barry, when does the solid waste board meet?
You mean the sewer board?
Yeah,
It was last Friday, the second Friday of each month.
second Friday of
So
each
we're
month.
3 weeks or 4 weeks away.
Okay. And we don't meet again for 3 weeks from this evening. We were just sidebarring up here a little bit. I mean, would you folks like to have a chance to go to the county sewer district to state your case to them? Because like I said, it's not that we're adding you to ours, you know, this isn't a city benefit.
You're throwing us under the bus.
Again,
I know.
yeah.
7 years.
Had the project not came out in our area, you wouldn't be sitting here doing this right now. So it wasn't our choice, it was happening to us. but-
It wasn't our choice.
It wasn't our, yeah, it was the county, it's not the city, it's the county. That's
The whole
why,
thing, we're
Well, then the county would still be on the business.
you had it good for 7 years, like you said. Mhm.
Well, then once the city buy that whole system we got out there.
Yeah.
So we gotta annex them?
Over to you.
And we keep our meters, so then our price won't go up.
So I guess, you know what, if I could have maybe, would you guys like to make a motion to that effect, that we take this under advisement?
Is this your guys' decision to raise it, or is it?
No.
It's the decision of the board whether to release you as city customers and have it transferred over to the district. It's the district's decision in terms of how they compensate you or what they charge you. That's not our
Well, that's why I'm
decision.
saying, and sometimes I feel like we're arguing to the wrong people. And I don't care if you turn me over, but my point is, if you're going to increase this,
Yeah.
I understand that if I'm going to pay $97 or $93, and as long as they take care of my system, but why overnight? Why not, maybe increase this over?
Well, and to be honest, Tom, Barry's not trying to pull a fast one on you. He brought it to our attention that there's an issue here in terms of how to charge and how to do it fairly. And the district has made the decision that they're going to do a flat rate for all customers within the district.
It wasn't our decision.
And because you're tied into their system now, on a purely logical perspective, it makes sense that you're a district customer, not a city customer. But we didn't feel comfortable saying, okay, we're going to turn you over until you at least had an opportunity to be aware of what the impact was and, have a chance to be heard. We've heard you, but to be honest, in terms of how the billing is going to be done, that's really a district decision. So I think what we're saying is we will table the decision to give you an opportunity to go to the district board and see if you can work something out along the lines that you're suggesting.
Let me touch on this. The whole thing, if it wasn't for the water meters, it would be $1.52 difference, and I don't think anyone would be saying anything about that, right? I mean, if it was $1.52 per month difference, that's 24 or less than $20 or $22 a year difference. But we're metering. We do not meter water. We do not look at that because that's only what's pumping out of the well. We have no idea of how much water is the potential of getting into your tiles. We don't know. We're requiring everybody that hooks in that I see from the foundation to the grinder pump or to the gravity hookup that everything is new and there's no infiltration. Infiltration, the bottom line is we're paying you folks, for treating. We're paying Ann for treating every gallon that goes through. So that's the difference. We're going on, we're looking at your system, which is a metered system, and you're looking at the gallons that goes through the well, not the gallons that could possibly be going, nothing he did wrong, but we found a major leak on his. It was shooting up in the manhole at least 3 inches out of the ground, and the city was treating it. Rainwater. I mean, it was coming out bottom. That's why we had that equipment in there to fix it. It was nothing you did wrong. Nothing you did wrong. But we tore that out because, and it cost us $1,500 to have that manhole taken out. And I showed Berlin, but the water was shooting up.
Oh, yeah, when it rained, that manhole cover, it was shooting up out of that one.
Yeah, and see...
But it wasn't my manhole cover, it was the one they put in that was off the road.
Well, that was all plugged off and the pumps weren't running, so that's why that all was, it was before we ever had any sewage.
Yeah.
But for an example, that's, why we don't meter water, because you have no control of how much water is getting in that line. So the metered water is the issue. We're $1.52 difference on Decatur's flat rate versus our flat rate. I mean, the two are very close. We're metering water that we know that's going in, but we don't know if there's any more going in, and that's the reason why we're checking. We want to check where some pumps are going, because 233 accounts have to pay for every gallon that comes to Decatur. So that's just a little back, a little history on how it's working, and that's why we're claiming we're inspecting all the way to the toilet seat, because we're taking pictures and putting it on the GIS system for every property to know where, we don't know if there's downspouts tapped in. It's actually a gamble on our part a little bit for taking these 6. But but then it's a gamble. There's no way of metering what they're pumping to us either. So we don't know. So it's kind of a, there's a little gray on these, because Ann will back me, every superintendent's dream is to have no flooding when it rains. But what happens to your system when it rains? You flood, A brand new system like they just put in, I hope when it rains, the flow don't change. And that's why we're checking, trying to get all of the rain, keep the rainwater out, and any infiltration. That's the difference. I mean, the city rate and the county rate is very close.
Well, for the sake of time, I have 8 more items on an agenda and I have 35 minutes.
Larry had her.
Larry?
Quick question. Dan, I probably directed it to you, but the guys that put the lines in, that paid to put the lines in, and the county takes it over, what do we sell the line to the county? how do you transfer that title of that line?
It's probably a question for the sewer district, not
Yeah,
us.
I would think that, and again, I'm not suggesting anything on the part of the district, but there could be some compensation for the transfer. I mean, there may be ways to compensate you in some way. Maybe it's through acquisition of easements, it might be transfer of the lines. You know, there's some value to the fact that those lines were installed at their expense, where other individuals don't have to do that. So there could be some, but again, that's something that you really need to discuss with the board. So, but I don't know if they're talking about replacing the lines or rerunning them. It may be a moot point at that point then too. So, but I'm assuming that would be installed at the district's cost.
Was he done discussing? Okay.
Any other questions?
I would like to make a motion that we close discussion on this and table this till our next meeting.
Well, it may even have to be the meeting after that, because
Oh,
our next meeting,
so
I
you
think, is
guys-
September 5th, and your meeting wouldn't be until the second Friday,
You want
which
the
is
time to
September
go to that
8th.
solid waste, or excuse me, the sewer district meeting?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, your bill's not gonna go up till then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So maybe your motion would be to table this until September 19th meeting here.
Is that fair with you, Larry? Tom?
Yeah.
So you can at least go to that meeting and see negotiate what you can do?
I better do it, a lot of talking on the wall, but I'll go.
I think it'd be good if we sit down and talk, so I can get
Yeah, we need to
meet and talk about.
Did you make that
why
motion?
I did, but I'm trying to wait on him.
I'll go ahead and second it.
Board members,
Thank you, Tom.
our engineer.
Yeah.
And
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same? Thank you. We just went ahead and voted while you were talking there, but we went ahead and tabled it. We'll discuss this again on September 19th right here.
And that means the
And give you
billing
the
stays the
opportunity to visit the county sewer district and see if you can, make some headway with them. So, thanks for coming in. Kurt, Corson Fire and Security recently performed sprinkler inspections at the City Hall. During inspections, the technicians noted deficiencies on the system that will need to be repaired in order to keep the system up to code and in proper working order. And Kurt has given me a proposal from Corson. Do you have a copy of this, Phyllis, or not? It's a proposal.
Wendy, do I have a copy of that proposal or just one?
I don't know. You can have this one.
I thought you did, but I think Wendy...
Wendy probably does. On the proposal, Kurt, can you kind of explain what they're going to do for us?
Supposedly, according to this, there's an OS and Y valve, which I have no
I see that.
idea what that is. Wouldn't shut off, and they want to replace that with a butterfly. I have no idea what that is. I'm at the mercy of Corson's here. They take care of all the fire extinguishers, and but at the same time, they're also saying that we have 3 sprinkler heads that need to be replaced. So,
The cost for this is $1,490, and it's not like this is something we can take bids on, because that's who we are contracted
that's who we're contracted with.
to do this with. So it's just something that needs to be done, keep the system intact. And I think you said you had money in your budget that could...
Well, I was gonna give you guys all kinds of money, but it's still
Phyllis
up
won't
there.
let you, huh?
Won't let me.
So where do we pay this out of the...
Transfer at the end of the year. I mean, we have money in the salaries, but not in the repairs.
Okay. Well, do we have money in the City Hall maintenance?
We might have the 1,400, that or we pay it on common councils.
Okay. Motion to go ahead and proceed with this?
Yeah, this is what you recommend, right, Kurt?
Yes, I recommend it.
All right, I'll make a motion to take
Craig
care of
has a motion, Bill has a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Okay, thank you.
You wanna talk about Fogarty?
Yes. Go right ahead.
All right, so about a month and a half ago, I came to you that Fogarty found some issues with our HVAC system. I've contacted Fogart and discussed the situation with them. Basically what it is our system was designed, it's kind of like a mutt. There is no other system in the country like it. It's bits and pieces from here and there. It was designed by
Martin Riley.
okay, which we've talked to them here recently as well. Basically what it is, I have a bulletin here that you guys can look at.
What's it say?
It basically, back in 2014, Emerson Climate Technologies, we're getting reports from several customers on the fluids or the oils that run through the coils.
Yeah.
We're gelling up at the valves, causing the coils to freeze up. And that is exactly what our system is doing. We bought our coils from Carrier, and Carrier used the fluid from Copeland, which is the company that distributes or sells the fluids. Back in 2014, they acknowledged that they were having an issue with this. Felgerhart has done this on many residential units. They went in, and what they do, in the beginning they had talked about replacing the coils. But if we replace the coils, that gets very expensive. More expensive than what I have here on this quote. So what they want to do is go in and cut the coils, take out the bad fluid and put new fluid in. But in doing so, they have to disassemble the entire unit. They have to recover the refrigerant from the circuits, drain the heating coil and disconnect the piping, disassemble air unit to get access to the coils, furnish and install distributor assemblies for both circuits, furnish and install new expansion valves and refrigerant dryers for both circuits, reassemble unit, reconnect heating coil and fill with water, check for leaks, evaluate and recharge the unit, check operation, and set the superheat. What's happening right now is every day I come in and I have to reset the freeze stat because the valves are gelling up and it's telling the freeze stat that the system is too cold. So it's shutting down the unit. Where before it was before it was totally freezing up. There was literally ice on the coils. So what they have done thus far is keeping the ice off the coils, but it's still gelling up inside, causing the unit to shut down.
What's the quote on this?
The quote on this was $4,570.
And that's from Felgerhart?
That's from Felgerhart.
And Felgerhart is not who we originally were working with, and we found out through when Dan was still here that the company we were using really was not a commercial company.
There was another company involved, CSI. They actually did the system that we have that monitors everything. I can control everything from my computer. I can adjust the temperature in every room. Felgerhart was here 10 minutes and realized the freeze stat was not working. And they realized that the wiring from CSI that was installed by another company, which was TNT Plumbing, was wired backwards. So they were here 10 minutes and knew exactly what was wrong with the unit.
So you feel real confident with Felgerhart as far as their...
Yes, to the point where we signed a contract with them to do our general maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be the only ones out there that know what's going on.
And Phyllis, where do we have the $4,570?
When are they going to do it?
Well, they need 38 days lead time because that's what it's going to take to get the parts. They didn't want to do it during the summer months because they said in the summer months it's actually better on the unit because it's more active. But when it gets cooler, then we're going to start having issues.
So we want to look at the fall?
They're looking end of September, October.
So if we give you the nod now, you can get the parts coming and then take care of it in the fall?
Just one random question. Is there no warranty on that unit?
Like, do they not warranty it either?
Well, the company that installed it gave a 1-year warranty,
But the manufacturer has no warranty on that system?
1 year. Now, Felgerhard has told me that they will warrant any of their work. The only thing they can't warrant is the installation of new parts. As far as, examples of warranty.
They can't warranty the parts that are already in there.
Right.
Okay.
So, and they'll stand behind the parts warranty from the manufacturer, but then, we gotta pay, that warranty doesn't cover the labor to install the part.
We're gonna pay that for
I've been paying all the maintenance on the common council.
Is that a big enough unit to take care of future expansion?
Actually, we had a discussion with Martin Riley, and I think wasn't he gonna look into that? He was gonna talk to the guys who actually designed it to see if it would be large enough for any remodel on the second floor.
Can we put this on delay until then?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, we can.
I'm just asking. Well, can we find out what the plans, I mean...
I'm
And
sure.
table and everything else tonight, we might as well table one more.
Not to push, but...
That's fine. Phyllis and Wendy just might have...
Well, I'd hate to throw money at this... I mean, if it starts getting hot in here, I don't want anybody mad, but...
No, he wouldn't let it happen until fall, so.
But, I
Okay,
mean-
let's do that. Wait until we hear from Martin Riley.
Okay.
I hate to throw parts at something if we have to change it
Don't
out.
have to change out if you expand.
3 weeks from tonight, we can decide this,
Yeah.
so
Thank you.
we'll come back on it. Thank you. Phyllis, you have communicated with AECom, and the last time that Bill Slike was here, and he made his little statement about some extra charges, whatever, Phyllis has got that all cleared up, I believe, right?
They go away, Phyllis?
It went away.
He said it's not to exceed $75,000 in the original agreement, so that's all we're supposed to pay.
We just wanted to clear that up.
Good.
American Structure Point contract for the clarifier. Phyllis, do you have that handy here?
Not to exceed.
Where are we on that? Did we?
American Structure Point went ahead and made the recommendations that Tim suggested adding to the contract, and it's all here, so we just need signatures on it again.
We already signed it once, now this is the amended version, so. Okay, so we don't need a motion or anything, we just need to sign it, so
Right.
keep on going while we're signing.
Because actually, you guys approved it last time.
Right.
And you just gave Tim
Subject to
permission
my
to go
review
ahead
and then
Yeah.
modifications.
I'll
Do we need to sign it, or did we already sign it?
No, I need
We have to
sign
sign it again.
I
Where at?
asked for some changes.
I'm sorry, Tim.
That's fine. It's right
To
here.
council and to Tim. Employee handbooks, I think Phyllis might have, or Wendy may have emailed them to you. I would ask that you would review those,
It may be back up.
and we will adopt that on September 15th. If you see things in there that need, that you question or would like to discuss, let me know before the September 5th meeting, and we can address it and take care of it. So that's that. Very briefly, Jeremy, did you want to discuss the extension of Bowman? Not tonight, okay? Later.
Was there two places?
I looked the whole place over.
Kurt mentioned Martin Riley last week. Tyler, Craig, Kurt, and I met with Jack Daniel from Martin Riley. Martin Riley was our general contractor on this first floor of the city hall, and we walked upstairs, looked around, and the conclusion when done, I guess Jeremy and Don, you were here too, weren't you guys? No? Okay. The conclusion after we went upstairs was that the only thing we're really going to need Martin Riley for upstairs is the electrical and the plumbing, and maybe some of the HVAC. But as far as all the walls, the floors, the ceilings, he said if we're not going to be moving anything up there, so to speak, that we could probably hire locally and do it for, I mean, we have money that we had $175,000 budgeted for this year, and at our last budget meeting, we put another $175 in there for next year, so we got $350,000, which I think should be ample for getting us up there. Greg, shaking, was that enough?
No, I just wasn't sure we wanted to let everybody know how much we had for that.
Everybody was here when we budgeted. I mean, it's public.
Then the proposal. That'd be a nice bid, right? I bet 349.
Yes, I agree. I mean, after looking it over, I think it can easily be managed locally.
So we'll be following up with Martin Riley. He's going to work us up some kind of a scope of work and some kind of a cost estimate, so that we can move on from there. Just wanted to mention all that. Next, Tim, Waterworks refund / refinancing.
Okay. As is typically the case when you get involved with bond issues, there's engagement letters that come our way from the players. So we have three. One is from Kroll Horwath, which is going to serve as financial advisor. One is from Barnes Thornburg, which is going to serve as bond counsel. And then the third is from Hilliard Lyons, and they would be the placement agent for the bond. What's anticipated in talking with Jennifer Wilson at Kroll Horwath is that this is an ideal type of refunding where it's a private placement of a bond through a placement agent. What they do is they go out and they contact banks. They'll contact local banks as well as regional banks who are looking to buy up these bonds because this is going to be a 10-year amortization, and even at 2.4, 2.5%, they want them. So that's the cheapest way to do it, so you're going to maximize your savings by doing it that way. The downside of it is there's always these expenses, and they're not cheap because of the liability that's involved. In Kroll Horwath's case, their charge would be $18,000 plus out-of-pocket expenses, and that assumes that they're also going to do a utility rate study for the larger aspect of what's coming in terms of some water projects, especially if we do a new plant in Wellfield where we're talking about. That's going to be a bond issue. And there could be other projects that are funded through that as well, but in order to do that, you have to have a rate study. It has to be on a current basis. As long as they initiate the rate study sometime around October of this year, they can still use 2016 as their fixed year that they're basing the study upon. But if we get into doing the rate study into 2018, then they're going to have to use 2017 as the fixed year. And because they're not able to use some of the information from the refunding of the bond, it's going to raise the price. So, if we can take advantage of that, it would save us a couple $1,000, but if we can't, we can't. Okay? With regard to Barnes and Thornburg, their costs are $15,000 plus out-of-pocket expenses. I think they kept their out-of-pocket expenses not to exceed $600. And then Hilliard Lyons, there's a little bit different engagement letter. It doesn't have the specific price, but that's included in the estimate that is developed, and I think it's going to be somewhere around $20,000 for them. And then lastly, me. Normally the local council is half or less than half than bond council, so it's going to be somewhere in that range. So those are all things that need to be approved by the Board of Works so that we can get started on this. I think what they're looking at is a time frame of probably getting this done. Originally, I think they were looking at doing it sometime in the latter part of September. It's probably going to be pushed back into October. But the timing of the placement of the bond is really kind of at the discretion of Hilliard Lyon when they think it's the best time to try to market it. Okay? So,
What do you need, a motion?
I need a motion to approve the engagement letters for Hilliard Lyons, Barnes Thornburg, Grove Horwath, and myself.
Think you can repeat all that? One of you?
And even though you're spending this kind of money, the savings still justifies the expenditure. Okay?
Oh,
Make a
yeah,
motion to approve all Tim just said, right?
exactly.
I'll second.
Bill made that motion and Craig seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The same. Thank you.
Okay?
Next thing I want to discuss is Madison Street.
Right.
Go ahead.
And that motion authorized Ken to sign these on behalf of the
Actually,
city.
it's me.
Oh, Phyllis? Okay. Authorize Phyllis to sign it then.
Is it, I think at least that's what Ryan sent me. Or is it Ken's name on it?
It doesn't say, it just says acknowledged and agreed and accepted by the city of Decatur. So,
You can sign them.
Well, no, I mean, I was just showing him, he had sent it to me. And Ryan's back. But that was only his.
I don't, what I have
Address
is,
to Phyllis.
it's addressed to Phyllis, but it, yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's who signs it. Okay. So,
One way or another, we will sign them.
authorize Phyllis or the mayor.
The mayor, right?
How's
Yes.
that? Okay.
Do you have anything else to
Not on that.
You say all in favor?
You spend it. Did you have anything else before we go to Madison Street? Okay, I'd like to discuss briefly here in the next few minutes the Madison Street Plaza project. Last Wednesday, we opened bids for the project, and JPR had shared with us that some 9 or more general contractors had picked up bid specs for that, and he was pretty confident we'd get a good random sample of bids. However, last Wednesday, when it was 10 a.m. and time to open the bids, there was one bid present. We opened that bid. It was from Primco, and it exceeded our engineer's estimate by quite a bit. One of the, I guess, just things that we kind of always have thought around here was that if something exceeds the engineer's estimate by more than 10%, we would have to reject that. Well, Tim's been looking into that in depth for the last 2 or 3 days, and he's talked to Barnes and Thornburg, talked to
Shirley Wood, Dame.
and nowhere in Indiana statute does it say that if something is bid at more than 10% over the estimate, that you have to reject it, unless it's a certain type of NDOT project, and that would hold true for some types of NDOT projects. Other than NDOT project, we have the total discretion of accepting a bid regardless of how much over the engineer's estimate. The first thing that came to mind with me was somewhat anger. You know, how could JPR throw together such an estimate for us and be off so much? And I think that when we had the pre-bid meeting, there were, I think, 4 or so contractors here, and 2 of those contractors spoke up at the end of the presentation when they had questions, and they asked if we would allow for more time to do the work. And we said we would take that under advisement, let them know. After the pre-bid meeting, we met with JPR, and they said that they thought that we should just call their bluff. He says that if you notice, there were other contractors here that didn't have any comments about the time frame. They really felt as though the time frame was fair and not to allow more time. So we didn't. We did not change the time frame. So 2 of those who said they would not bid if we didn't extend the time, they didn't bid. So that's one reason we only had one bid. Another possible reason why we only had one bid is the fact that the economy right now is booming. It is booming. And, locally, the housing market is one thing, but when it comes to commercial construction, when it comes to infrastructure construction in a municipality, and look at NDOT with the community crossings program that they have, all the money NDOT's handing out right now, the commercial contractor is in Fat City right now. And basically, I think that JPR screwed up. They did not take any of that into consideration. They were using history as to the costs to go into this project, and not what our current economy is calling for. So, with that, I would like to ask the Board of Works, I guess, to allow me tomorrow. Jeremy, Don, and I are going to go up to JPR in the morning. We're going to meet with the folks from JPR and from Primco. And we want to talk about how we can reduce the cost of the project and still proceed with the project as soon as possible. We want to maintain the quality and the integrity of the project. We don't want to skimp back and make changes to things that's going to jeopardize the integrity of the project. We would still like to complete the construction in the time frame of 2018. Originally, it was set up to be done in our bid. I think it called for May 11th. We may talk with Primco tomorrow about extending that time frame and seeing if that would bring their costs down, when we basically found out that these other two didn't even bid it because of the time frame. We're going to do this project, okay? We're going to do this project. One of our fears is that if we don't negotiate with Primco and get the price down, and that if we go to a rebid situation we know that concrete costs are going up in 2018, and that's a lot of concrete. Our fear is that if we rebid it, it's not going to get better, it'll just get worse. So we want to kind of have that dialogue with JPR and with Primco tomorrow. Some of the ways that we think we might be able to scale it back and not still jeopardize the integrity is by reducing somewhat the square footage of the pavers. In other words, I don't even know how wide. You got the actual sidewalk area, which I think is concrete, and then inside that the actual street portion, which is pavers. Let's say it's 30 feet. Maybe we go 28 feet. Nobody would ever know that we compromised 1 foot on each side, but yet it's that much less pavers, the whole length of the street. So reducing the square footage of the pavers. In Don's examination, Don has a lot of years working with Fleming, and his examination of the bid, one of the things he saw was the landscape company being utilized for the actual pavers. And Don said, yeah, when he worked with Fleming, a lot of times they would put that company's prices in the bid, but then if they got the bid, they would buy them elsewhere because that company was the Cadillac company, and he says, there's nothing wrong with the Chevy, basically. So that's something we want to talk about tomorrow as well in our meeting. So maybe changing the paver itself, but not without compromising the quality of the paver. Also, in the drainage of the plaza, the way it's set up right now, and Don, you might jump in and help me here, there's, I think to the north side, everything's graded very gradual, so that would go into a long metal drain of sort.
Long trench drain that's spec, and it's a cast iron
Cast.
trench drain that gets encased in
Yep.
concrete
And-
for them.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility of going with a neoprene to supporting concrete, so it's got a concrete shell around it when you're done, cutting the cost. Still be a cast iron grade appearance you see on top and look the same, but get rid of the cast iron underneath, which is...
Again, the one that they spec'd in the bid was a Cadillac, you know, but the Chevy will do just fine.
Buggy's been using these for the last few years, getting rid of the cast iron because they rotted out. And when because they literally engulf them in 4 to 6 inches of concrete. So that's where our strength is.
Yeah. And then lastly, one of the things we want to talk with them about is to see if we give them more time, if we'd give them an additional, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. Yeah, our goal was to have it done mid-May so that the first festival of the year, the sculpture tour, could take place there. Well, even if we could...
July the 4th, then we can save a considerable amount.
Yeah, if it's July 4th and we can save a lot of money, then it's worth doing that, okay? You still may have a substantial completion and still be able to have a festival there. You might not have all the bells and whistles done to it yet, but you might still be able to utilize it for a festival. So anyhow, those are the things we want to talk to Primco and JPR about tomorrow. I know that JPR has talked to at least one of the other contractors that was here for the pre-bid meeting that said if we didn't extend the time, that they wouldn't bid it. And they have, that was Brooks. When they talked to them today on the phone, they indicated that if we rebid it, they would bid it as long as we gave ample time. Again, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that, I know, Jeremy, why don't you pipe in here and just give us kind of your opinion?
Well, I've been a primary contact since it went out for bid, so I've had a lot of discussion with a lot of the contractors. Primco's been very open. The individual that's been contacting me, I've known him for probably 15, 20 years. He's very upfront. You don't get much more of a straightforward, straight shooter than the individual I'm dealing with. He's been very open to working with us, trying to reduce some of this stuff, looking at some of the items that we spec, and just looking at some different options, some little cheaper options, but still delivering the project. They're very interested in the project and employ a lot of local people here in Decatur and in the Decatur area. They're looking at a similar project up north. They're kind of on the fence, whether they bid that one depending on what we decide on this. If we decide to go on this one, they're probably not going to bid on the one up north. So we're in a little bit of a time restraint. Talking with Primco and talking with a lot of the other contractors, historically, and especially right now the way the market is, we're looking at probably up to a 30% increase in cost if it goes out to rebid. We're hopeful that we can pull that top number down. We know we won't be down to the original engineer's estimate. There's just no way in keeping the integrity of the project to do that. I feel real comfortable working with Primco, Don and I, and Ken, to try to work out, a couple options. The one option that they threw out, which would be a big savings, is the 3 or 4 or 5 week extension to get away from some of the winter protection. Nobody knows what the winter's going to be. The winter protection is actually tents, heated sand, heated water, as they put the papers and stuff down. Primco's very interested in getting started with simple sign contracts. Obviously, we have some negotiating to do prior to that. So it's something that is very doable. We just need to work the cost, the total project cost down somewhat. You have to remember on our water main project, what the effects we had with that. That's a prime example.
Why don't you share that? Yeah, Scott wasn't with us at the time.
We had a sewer and a water main project that bid separately from Master Drive. When the water main project went out, the Democrat failed to advertise the legal ad, so we had to reject the bid while they were cheaper.
contractor that actually ended up doing the water main job. Never changed anything on the bid. It was the same plan, same everything. Went up $30,000. You see that a lot at rebid. Ken touched on the amount of plane holders that were picked up for this project. I think there was roughly
9 or 10 or something.
9 or 10 or 12. In that, there's 5 of those plane holders that's all working together on this project. So that's 5 of the 9.
Subcontractors.
So it's not like we just have one plane holder and that's all it is. The additional 4 are the subs, you know, the striping guys, the paving guys, the concrete guys, and the
Earth movers.
They're all working together on it. The community's really behind this project. You know, you can see that picture. You know, we've raised almost Melissa has raised almost $30,000 for the community in less than, 2 weeks. I just think realistically we need to work to get that cost down to something that's more reasonable.
Thank you, Jeremy. Tim's gonna say a little something.
Well, one thing I will say too is when I talked to Jody Woods about this issue of 10%, you know, under Title 36, Chapter 12, which deals with public bidding at a local level, there's absolutely nothing in the statute that says you can't accept the bid if it exceeds 10%. Jody has been called in the past about that. She indicated that she couldn't find anything, and then I finally got a hold of Barnes and Thornburg, and they confirmed what I was looking at, and that there's nothing in the statute that prevents us from accepting it if we wish to.
The only thing that's in the statute is in reference to an NDOT project.
Yes, there is one exception, and that's under an NDOT project, and that involves emergency repairs, and they have to have 3 bids, and then you can accept a bid that exceeds the engineer's estimate as long as it doesn't exceed 10%. That's the only place in the entire code that shows up. So it has nothing to do with a local project like ours. It only applies to an NDOT project. But the other thing, when I was talking with Jody about this, she shared with me that she has been getting reports from other communities where they've put out bids for projects and they're literally getting no bids because contractors are so covered up with work right now. So there is a risk, and I know one has indicated that they would possibly bid on it if they were given more time to do the project, but
that doesn't mean they would be cheaper.
That doesn't mean they're cheaper, and it doesn't guarantee that they will bid. And my concern is with the Crossroads projects that are about to be let, these contractors they're going to have the picking of projects wherever they want to work, and they're probably going to get pretty good money for them.
Yeah, and you look at in the scheme of things, this project of ours, it's itty-bitty.
It's not a big project.
You know, Primco's out there doing millions and millions of dollars worth of highways and bridges and whatever, and we have this, you know, $500,000 project, and so yeah, it's very small to them. But yet they want to do it.
So you do have, Primco's bid is, they have to maintain their bid for a period of time. So you got a little time to talk to them at least and see what they're willing to do, or whether there's things that we could do in terms of changing, you know, either some of the materials or extending the period of time to do the project. That would give, you know, the idea was to try to get this done in time for the events in 2018. So, you know, even if we extended it 3 or 4 weeks, if that gave them enough time to avoid some expenses related to some of the, you know, the work that would be done, you could still have this available for the sculpture walk if they met that deadline, because the sculpture, you know, extending it 3 or 4 weeks would get into like the first week of June. And, you know, like the mayor said, maybe it's far enough along that you could still use it for an event. Having said all of that, I agree with Jeremy. You're not going to get back down to close to that engineering estimate. You're still looking at some additional money. So
I've had apologies on top of apologies from Kevin McCrory, Andrew Cunningham, Nathan Deeg, all the people at JPR, they're embarrassed. Go ahead, Kev.
I'm sorry, I bite my tongue, but this is going to sound bad, but JPR dropped the ball. We paid them thousands of dollars to estimate this project. He sat in front of us, and we told him that we would like any cost savings, and put all the high dollar stuff that now we want to cut out that should have been done in the front end. To be sorry is one thing, but we paid them thousands of dollars, and their engineers to estimate this and be that far off. Like you said, it's a little project, and they're off a substantial amount. Sorry is one thing, but that completely dropped the ball. And I might come sounding off rude, but they got paid a lot of money to come up with that design.
You got a suggestion, though? Well, what do we do?
Well, I'm all for you going to Primco and seeing what we can do, but I'm just saying all this stuff should have been done in the front end, and now we're stuck in this position, and they put us in this position.
Trust me, I have expressed my
I just
opinions.
want to put it out there to them because I'm frustrated.
I'll share your thoughts.
Tyler,
I'll give you their email address if you want to talk to them.
I agree with what you just said.
Well, I mean, I don't want to throw them under the bus, but that's just, they dropped the ball on it, and then they put us in a hard position. I'm all for you going to Primco and seeing what we can do, what it can cost. I want to move forward with it too. I don't want to hold nothing out, but.
And I
just
agree
want
with
to put
that. I think you've laid out a very good plan to
You
move
have a
forward.
suggestion?
Yeah, what I would suggest first is that the Board of Works authorize the mayor to proceed to sit down with Primco, see what we can do to trim the costs. Secondly, council, at your meeting, you at least need to give a nod that you understand that there's going to be some additional costs that are going to have to be appropriated for this project, and there's no sense sitting down with Primco unless you're prepared to back that. Okay?
I think it'd be a good idea to make a motion. We've discussed it. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
Authorize the mayor to sit down with Primco and come back at the next meeting with
Is there a recommendation?
whether to proceed and accept their bid or reject it, and we'll rebid it.
I agree. But I would leave it to the discretion of the mayor and the department heads in this meeting.
I'll second that, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay. Tim, do you have anything else? We're already 10 minutes late. We started 10 minutes late, Bob.
That's longer we got.
Coach, I was stuck at CVS getting a prescription.
Sorry, Bob.
You got a opioid problem over here?
If not, I'd look for a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay, never mind, that's on council.
Okay, I got a motion to adjourn, Bill. Do you second that, Bill? So moved. Bill seconds, all in favor? Opposed, the same? Okay, let's take